Alrighty, so I'll talk now a little bit about the different data sources that the State Library of Queensland has released for you guys to use for your data mashups. So there's some which are called Picture Queensland, which are out of copyright photos that you can use. There's others called Music Queensland that are out of copyright scores, which you can translate into a MIDI file that you can actually work with. There's also Assisted Immigration Index from 1848 to 1912. So you can see this great big long list of people that immigrated to Queensland. You can see the British Convict Transportation Registers and have a look through that. I personally looked through, I think, the immigration one for people with the same last name as me, just to have a little look-see. There's different digitised maps that you can use, as well as you can look at where all the library locations are around Queensland, because you might want to plot something on that. And you can have a look at old real estate maps, which are really beautiful things in themselves to look at. And if you're looking at this presentation later on, you can have a look at the link here, which takes you to all of those files. But these are just some of the examples from those collections. So this was the picture of the week for this week for Picture Queensland. It looks like a group of farmers working some sugar cane somewhere in Queensland. Can anyone think of anything that would do that for a photo mashup? No? No, a big cyclone. You can do all sorts of things. These are some of the scores that you can turn into a MIDI file and then actually play around with the music. And Andre, who is one of the other catalysts at the Edge, will be running a workshop teaching you how to do that. So that would be lots of fun. These are the immigration index. See, my last name's Morgan, so I had a look at how many Morgans there might have been that immigrated. I don't think any of my family came straight to Queensland, but it's interesting, and you can see where they're from as well. These are just some quotes that I pulled out from the Convict Transportation Register. So you can see the different people. So William Goss was one of 260 convicts transported on the Henry Portia on the 1st of August 1836. He was convicted at Jamaica Court Martial for the term of life. Don't know what he did. William Reeves, one of the 304 convicts transported on the Sea Park, the 30th of December 1853, convicted at Berkshire, Abingdon Assizes for a term of 15 years, ticket of leave. So you can have a look through that and just see the types of people that came out here and see if you can see any things that really take your fancy and you can tell a story from, or if you can see any correlation between things. I tried to have a look to see if there was any British convicts by the name of Bligh, because I thought it would be interesting, with Anna Bligh being so popular at the moment, and having a look at that. So there's so many ways you can pull references from, current day and present day and what's in the minds of people now, and link it back to these other different types of things. And you can have lots of fun with that. These are some of the real estate maps, and I really like them because you can look at what the lay of the land kind of was back then. And they're just beautiful things in themselves as well, these old advertisements for new real estate things. So you can have a look through that, and you can even maybe find your own suburb and have a look and plot where you live, or different places you've lived around Brisbane. I know I've lived in quite a few. Alrighty, so these are just a few tips and tricks that I put together that I thought might be useful for you when you're going and making your own. So you have to, when you're creating any kind of data visualization, you have to really strike a balance between your visual aesthetic, the visualization techniques you use. So are you going to use more traditional graphs but make them interesting in some way or aesthetically pleasing? Or are you going to show it in a way where people can sort through it? Or what kind of technique are you going to use? And how does that have an impact on how someone's going to then experience your visualization? Think about what it would be like for someone to come to it. Because often you see data visualizations that are showing data but in a not very interesting or aesthetically pleasing way. And also you need to balance that with the knowledge that you want people to get from it. So what is the story that you're telling? What's the thing that you're revealing that someone hasn't thought of before? What makes it fascinating? So some of the steps that you might want to take, so you might want to identify interesting patterns or relationship in the data, or with the data and other data sources that you might be able to find. Choose your visualization technique and be quite strategic about it. Think about different ways in which you could do it first and do a little bit of experimenting. Sketch out your ideas. Choose a colour scheme. It really helps to keep it kind of to have that visual aesthetic that's a whole and brings it all together. And create visual clues to indicate your subject matter. So if you're going to use graphs, don't use them alone. Use something that says, oh, hey, this is about primates, or so someone can see it and straight away start to read what it's all about. These are some helpful tools that you might want to use if you're making your own. So Yahoo Pipes is a service that allows you to draw in RSS feeds or search queries from all sorts of different websites. And then you can bring them all together, and then you can read stuff from that. So I tried to make one that brought together images of Kim Clijsters, news headlines of Kim Clijsters and images of Fiona from Shrek. I know it's a bit mean, but it makes things like that really easy to do. Many Eyes is a service that allows you to put in a data set, and then it has many different options, so you can either graph it in different ways or plot it out differently. They tend to be a bit more along those traditional techniques of graphing and plotting, but it might be a good way to start. So if you have a big data set, you can put it into that and then see what patterns emerge from that, and then you might be able to do something from there. Some other things you might want to use, so After Effects, if you're doing anything that's motion graphics moving around. If you're doing some mashups with some images but you want to animate them, After Effects is a good place to start. Or, of course, Photoshop if you're working with any images, or GIMP, which is the free online version. Illustrator, obviously. Flash, again, if you're doing any animated or if you want anything to be interactive. And, of course, things like coloured paper, pens, pencils, anything physical. I really want to see a physical entry because I reckon it would be great. These are some other sites for inspiration because there's so much out there. If you want to just go and have a look at them yourselves, these are sites that aggregate lots and lots of examples of these types of things. So there's heaps on there. You can lose hours in these sites. I'd really encourage you to have a look at David McCandless, his TED talk about the beauty of data visualization, because he kind of talks about how you can tell stories with data and how revealing those relationships makes things, you get that kind of aha moment, and that's what makes them really interesting. And these are just a series of LibraryHack events that are coming up to help you make your awesome entries. So on the 20th of April, we've got a photo mashup workshop, so you can learn how to do your own photo mashup using GIMP, which is the free online software. May 17 and 15, we've got the Hack in Motion workshop, which is all about learning how to animate photos in After Effects and also using Photoshop. Then we've got Hack to the Future, which is learning how to turn the scores into the MIDI files, which you can then remix. On the 14th of May, we've got the Data Mashup workshop, which is all about using Yahoo Pipes and a bit of PHP to create your own mashup. We've got a lock-in coming up towards the end of the competition dates, which is all about just getting you all together in one place with some experts that can help you out. And that's experts that know about the data itself, so librarians that can tell you a little bit more of stories about the data and start to reveal those and get you thinking about different types of things you can represent, as well as people who have more of the expertise in the creating of the visuals. And then we have an event in Mount Isa as well, which is the Then and Now Digital Media Mashup, which is using old and new photos and putting them together and turning them into a little documentary type snapshot. So they're just a few of the things that are going on, and if you want to get more up-to-date info, just head to the website and you can see Pip's working really hard at the moment to get heaps of really good events happening for you all. But yeah, that's basically all I had to show you today. Thank you everyone for coming. Cool. Yeah.